but for those of you who don't know what Broadstreet is, Broadstreet is an ad manager. And it's similar to Google Ad Manager, Ad Rotate, Ad Butler, some of the other ones out there. But my mission is to make sure that businesses are spending money with my publishers instead of Google, Meta, and competitors. Three big reasons that customers come to Broadstreet: outstanding service, a completely reinvented approach to display advertising, unmatched reporting, and there's a bunch of other things that we're going to hear about today, right? And that's kind of why we're on this webinar. Those are the three big ones. You guys know about those most likely. We'll review those too, but there are lots of other things that we do. We're always thinking of new things, testing them out at Red Bank Green and making them available to publishers. What we're doing, whether you are a local news publisher, whether you're a city and regional magazine, whether you're a B2B publisher, radio broadcaster, what we're doing is outrageously important. And this, what Broadstreet does, really focusing on the sales piece, is one of the things that we can do to support that. The future we want is where publishing thrives. And we know that historically advertising was a big way that happened. And we think that all we have to do is reinvent advertising. We're going to build a different future for publishing. Broadstreet works with about 550 publishing groups, everything from local news, city and regional magazines, kind of like really niche media, B2B publishers, radio broadcasters, you name it. Everybody who has a direct sales team. And we know that relationship with the advertiser is really important, and we want to put our customers in the best position to do a great job for them. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. We work with a lot of really small publishers. That's where we got to start. And I just want to give out a shout out to Justin. I'm not sure if he's on the call today, who posted this in Broadstreet community, passed the 100K in ad sales mark, a huge jump from 1,200 last year, and partially due to Broadstreet, and there are probably many other people who had an amazing influence on him, the Lion Publishers Group. And but Justin took a lot of what we did at Red Bank Green and kind of made it his own. And that's like an amazing milestone when you're an entrepreneur and you get to that 100K mark. So congratulations to Justin. This is really why I do it, whether it's a smaller publisher or it's a bigger publisher. You know, sometimes I remember an email in particular that I got years ago. It said, man, I don't even know if we'd be in business if it wasn't for you guys. So that's why I do it. Like, I do Broadstreet for free. And in fact, I did for like the first 5 years before we kind of figured it out. But that's really why we do it here. So I just want to ask, turn to everybody who's in the chat. Let's figure out who's there. Knock, knock, open up. It's Halloween. We're keeping everything, spooky themed. If you are a current Broadstreet customer, you're a Broadstreet OG, type OG into the chat. So let's just see everybody we got who is a current Broadstreet customer. We got some OGs here. We got Melanie, we got Michael, we got Tamara, we got Charlie, lots of OGs. Awesome. And I'm curious, actually, do we have anybody that is just checking it out? So just type checking. If you're just checking out Broadstreet, see what we got and see if it's something that might work for you. All right, lots of folks just checking too. All right, cool. So
welcome to all the checkers. That's great.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure somebody else in the chat or somebody from Broadstreet's team can go ahead and help you out there with any questions or opinions on Broadstreet. All right, here's something I think we can all relate to, and it is perfectly themed. Has anybody ever been in the middle of a sales process, seemed like everything was going really well? The client said, yeah, send over a proposal, and then you did that, or somewhere along the way, they ghosted you. So have you ever been ghosted? Just type ghost into the chat. One of my favorite questions, and it's too perfect for today. I think I asked that 3 times this year, but we're a week out of Halloween, and ghost, yes, I've been ghosted, both for Broadstreet, and Mary says boo. Yeah, no ghosts. All right, so if there's going to be no shortage of cheesiness, we're going to do some ghost busting. We're going to see some things that'll help us do some ghost busting today. So, all right, first I want to show you guys a little trick, and I hope this works, because it's something that's brand new, but it's one of the things that I think is like really cool and maybe a serious part of the future of Broadstreet. We are, when it comes to product, we say make work feel a bit like play. I'm a big believer that anything that you're going to do for the long run, you should be having fun with, even if it's really important work. It doesn't mean you have to be miserable doing it. You got to have fun with it. And I realize that, my goal isn't just to serve ads and help people sell, but I want to help them have fun when they're using the platform. It should actually be enjoyable, which is not something we're used to for SaaS. So I'm going to pop out of presentation mode. And this is the first public demo. So what that means is that it's probably going to break. Many of you don't know, prior to today's call, we were going to be on video. And the internet went out, everything went haywire. So why don't you introduce you guys to this little chat widget down here called Alva. This is built at Broadstreet. I'm not going to tell you really what Alva is, but I do want to show you what Alva does, right? I'm going to tell you what it is at the end, but I'm going to show something. So I'm just going to ask Alva a question. I'm going to say, create a spec ad for Teak Restaurant and Bar in Red Bank, New Jersey. And this is where we kill some time in that. This is where we just kill that silence.
I was just going to comment that what you said about making work fun, you are like a genius at that. And your ad platform formats has just added 1,000% of creativity to what could be a dull and grinding job of trying to sell. So
Oh,
cheers.
thank you. And Renata says, I like the, well, it's the loading cube. So Broadsheet's logo is embedded in that. Many of you, like our logo or our newer one is built on the cube, which is one of our most popular ad formats. So Broadsheet went ahead, I asked it to create a spec ad, and it went ahead and created a spec ad for Teak in Red Bank. And we got a few different pictures there. So that's what Alva does. I could ask you to do a few more things. We're going to revisit this, right? Just creating a spec ad. Why would I do that? Maybe prior to a sales meeting, maybe just because I got off a sales call and I want to send something over. That's part of my system at Red Bank Green. So that's the trick. So to answer Leo, because this is so new, a lot of you may not have realized what happened there. All I did was ask Alva here to create a spec ad for me, and Alva went out and found the pictures for me. It found the logo, it found everything I need, and then it generated text. So it created the spec ad from scratch. All right.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, and I just gave it the name, and I could do like I could do it by voice too, but so pretty amazing. And one day it'll create an amazing cube. So, okay, let's go back to our trick here. Let's talk about how we got here in the first place. It all started with this guy, Stu. Now, some of you guys know, and in fact, I just saw him on Saturday, but Stu was the first ever advertiser user of a Broadstreet product. And you might have heard this story before because it's in video form on Broadstreet's homepage, broadstreetads.com. Stu is a butcher in Red Bank, New Jersey, the original publisher of Red Bank Green, after 5 years going back for renewal. Oh, yes. By the way, Renata, Stu the Butcher doesn't really know what he kicked off or how famous he really is. That he's famous in a way that he could never really imagine. But the publisher of Red Bank Green went back for renewal. After 5 years, Stu is a faithful advertiser and Stu said, yeah, I think I'm going to go in a different direction. We've heard that one before. And the reason, Stu said, is that he was starting to do his marketing on social media. He was just posting his lunch special to Facebook every day. Annette, in your ad sales rounds, have you ever heard that somebody was doing their marketing on social media before?
Unfortunately, it's
Yeah,
quite common. It's
all of
it's
us.
the norm, always.
So John Ward had a really good idea. He said, Kenny, is there any way? And by the way, I just moved to Red Bank. I was looking for a way to get involved, and I was his webmaster while I was moonlighting as webmaster. I was working at Yahoo, and he said, is there any way we could take Stu's lunch special and we can put it in an ad on Red Bank Green? Right? So every day he posts to Facebook, which is what he was going to do anyway, and then we get that ad on Red Bank Green. And so we put together a banner ad that looked like this, right? And it had Stu. It was an animated GIF. It had his chattering face. And Stu liked it so much, he didn't just stay on for 3 more months. Whatever, get him off my back. He didn't just stay on for 6 more months, a year. He didn't stay on for 10 years. He is still a paying advertiser to this day. And true story, I have to go to Monmouth Meats every month now and pick up payment for this ad in cash, which is exactly what happened Saturday. And basically, I picked up a couple of ribeyes and basically just gave it right back. But so Stu kicked this off. And when we launched this thing, we were kind of sitting like, what happened here? And, we changed our approach and it saved a customer, right? We gave him something new and all of a sudden, we retained him. readers loved it and still talked about it. And one of the real kickers for Stu is that people will come in and say, "Oh, I saw your face. I love that thing on Red Bank Green." So it connected them to the community, and nobody else was doing it. None of our competitors. You couldn't do it on Google. It's like we made that magic happen. I like took a step back. I was like, wait a second, why doesn't more of this happen in advertising online? You know, I had never seen this before. And something that's kind of crazy is that more people saw his lunch specials on Red Bank Green than they did on Facebook itself. And you guys know this. Like, you put a post on your Facebook page or Instagram page and nobody sees it because it's prioritizing other stuff. I think that resonates with all of us too. And more people engaged with it in the end. But then we're kind of thinking, and I hadn't really gotten, waist deep in ad sales yet. I was like, were we thinking about ad sales all wrong? And did I have a duty to think about what else would be fun and effective and connect Stu with the community? Like right now, I mean, we're taking a very transactional approach to advertising. It's like, hey, you buy the ad space, and that's the way it's always worked, right? Like maybe that's not the way it's supposed to work. Maybe I'm supposed to be thinking on behalf of Stu of what would be fun and effective. And if so, what else is possible? I'm a software developer. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we can do anything we want. That's what we're here to talk about. So I wrote all of this in an ebook called 10 Advantages that some of you might have read. And it was 10 Advantages, how magazine and hyperlocal news publishers will win in the era of Google and Facebook. It was all about how Google and Facebook they're just mowing us down with their transactional approach to sales. They make it easier than we ever could. So if we're really going to fight back, we have to be true partners and take advantage of the things that we can do that the big guys can't do. If you think about any major revolution throughout history where a little guy took on a big guy, it was always through guerrilla tactics and doing things that the big guys couldn't do. So I wrote this book. A lot of people liked it. Google's defense team liked it too because they ended up using it as part of their case that little guys did in fact have advantages that they couldn't match in this whole big antitrust thing. And you guys might have remembered that I wrote about the subpoena that we got from the DOJ and from Google. EMP covered it. And we know how it turned out for Google. I never thought it would. I think it was decided that Google did have a monopoly in both search and advertising, and we'll see how that plays out. So it changed our approach to advertising, and some of you hopped on earlier in the year. We did this webinar, How to Sell Digital Advertising in 30 Minutes, and then I basically worked the circuit, and I think I did this session at almost every conference in the industry. But the approach to advertising, and we got a shout out to Justin, who I didn't get back by email, who said that this has really worked out for him. Our approach to ad sales, lift. So listen to the advertiser, ask them questions. What are some things that people are surprised to learn the first time they come here or work with you? Oh, people didn't know that it wasn't a hole in the wall. We had tons of seating. Imagining things that are in your media kit that might be able to help them, floating them by. And then at the very end, that's where we close the deal. So I'm not going to get too far into that now, but I sincerely believe that one of the things, like if any place that we want to go, any place that there's a place that all of us are on this call today. There's a place that we are and a place that we want to get to be. And that our path to getting to where we want to be is by helping other people get to where they want to be. And I can't really sell an ad. I don't know how to sell an ad. All I know is how to help a small business market. And I just go into an advertising, a sales meeting to see if I can potentially help. And if I can potentially help, I feel like I got a duty to help. So I think somebody might have, Tom, if you want to drop the link to how to sell digital advertising. But I really started to think a lot about partnership and transactional sales. And I said, no, I'm going to be a partner. I'll never be what Google and Facebook can be. And I don't want to be. I'm going to be a real partner to these guys. So before I dive into what Broadstreet does, go to broadstreetads.com/wins, right? And you're going to get a sheet. You can go to File, Make a Copy. And a lot of times, if you ever go to an industry conference or hop on a Broadsheet webinar, I tend to just dump it on as much as I possibly can. But what I want you to do is just pick one thing. If you're disciplined enough, I'm not disciplined enough, but if you can do it, one thing that you're going to take away from this webinar that you want to implement or you'd like our partnership in helping you implement. Now, if you're the undisciplined type as myself, just go ahead and write down 3 things, 5 things, but definitely prioritize them. But if you really want to make sure that something's going to work out, you're going to get some progress out of this thing, you spend an hour out of your day, and I appreciate that, but you want to pick one thing that you think is high leverage, is going to push you forward, and a great way to end the year. So When you're done with that, you can send it to frontdesk@broadstreetads.com. First, I'm going to cover the basics, right? I'm going to cover the basics of what Broadstreet is and it's all about for the people who are unaware. I'm going to keep this really quick, right? So, Broadstreet is an ad manager, meaning it's the software that's used to manage the ads on almost different websites and the newsletters, things like that. This is what advertising looks like on Red Bank Green. I have to call out, like this big leaderboard at the top, this is an ad at Red Bank Green. So one of the things I have to remind people is that advertising on Red Bank Green doesn't look like advertising you're going to see anywhere else. This is my proving ground for what works, but anything that does work, and I prove it works, I make it available to Broadstreet customers. So here we got local authority. This is also an ad. We've got our local legend spot, which is an automated event calendar. And then we do have some more traditional ads. And of course, we got Stu, who's got a turkey club for lunch today. And there have been times that caught my eye and I went down there that day. So we do have some standard banners, but for the most part, this is what the advertising looks like. Now, I manage all of that through my Red Bank Green account inside Broadstreet. And this is what it looks like inside Broadstreet. I got my list of advertisers. I got tons of them. I got my list of ad units, but I'm going to do all of my work inside this What's Possible account that I created today. So this is an advertiser account in Broadstreet. Now, this is the way that Broadstreet typically works. You have an advertiser, you close a sale, they send you creatives, and then you need to get them up and running. Now, that's one way to do it. And then you can go ahead and click create a new advertisement, and you can upload a banner. That's exciting stuff. But the way that the Broadstreet power users use it, and the way I do it, is that a lot of times I will go to an advertiser's social media, I'll go to their website, and I'll look at the stuff like the existing wording that they're using. I'll look at the existing content. And especially on YouTube, I'll go ahead and take a look at some of the videos they've uploaded. Because if they're big enough, a lot of times they have a YouTube page and they've uploaded stuff. And I was just looking at Hackensack Meridian Health, which is the big hospital in our area. Right. And although I'm doing this, I'm doing this for B2B publishers and doing it for radio, I do tend to use some of my examples for for local publishers. But the same exact thing works in B2B too. And I always make sure to check out. In fact, you're usually more successful when you go to an advertiser's page in B2B. So this is the big hospital. Almost everybody wants to get that hospital on board. Annette, were you about to say something?
I can. I think your approach in being proactive when you talk to a potential advertiser, doing your research is really important. I always am a fan of giving them as much information as I can to take the least amount of time and give them a visual. Use your ad server templates to create an ad. Snap screenshots off their website or off of a flyer. Put it on your template. Show it to them on your website on a non-live page, and it's very impressive.
Right. And or just tell Alva to do it for you. That'll work.
Takes away all the fun, but yes.
Right. So, but I do like to, because once Alva does create a spec ad, you can go ahead and modify it, of course. And I was just looking at, I did not know this as of yesterday, but Hackensack Meridian Health went ahead and they uploaded new content, and they do stuff with their service providers and their doctors. What was one that I saw before? They did a webinar on decoding your child's allergies. So this is what a Broadstreet power user does. They'll go to the YouTube page and they'll just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to grab that YouTube video, because a lot of these advertisers, they spend a lot of money producing these videos, but you can see they're not getting a whole lot of traction. Like 2 days ago, 12 views. So they're just putting up there as like a matter of like as an exercise, and like it's not getting in front of anybody. This one's like 17 views. So let's help them double down on their marketing budget. So anyway, the Broadstreet power users, they'll go into Broadstreet, they'll say, hey, you know what? I'm going to create a new YouTube ad. And you can see we got a nice breakdown of all of our formats and their different use cases, bestsellers for local, bestsellers for B2B. I'm going to create a YouTube video ad, and I'm not going to create the whole thing because like a cooking show, I got one ready in the oven for you. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. Anything that I might need, like advertiser assets, I can get Broadstreet to pull that in for me. So chicken drumstick. What was I looking for? Let's say Hackensack Meridian Health. Like if I need their logo or a picture of the place, I can go ahead and do that. But the final result looks something like this. And I've got a spec ad ready to go. It was very plug and play. Anybody can do this. It doesn't just have to be your designer, it doesn't have to be your ops person. I'm a big fan of like when sales reps do it because it's really easy. And then what I can do is say, hey, Broadstreet, show me what this looks like on the site as if it were live. So if you don't use this preview functionality, I use this all the time. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in my community pillar spot, which is my leaderboard zone, you know, and so you can see, I can say Broadstreet, this isn't live to everyone. And then I can send this link to the advertiser, or I can send them a screenshot, and just seeing is believing. You know, you can tell people all you want about what you got in your media kit and point to it and say, oh, we can do video. Do you want video? I think when you show up and you've got their stuff already in there, be like, hey, listen, this is a fantastic video and nobody's seen it. That's a whole different approach to the sale. So,
I totally agree with you. Just this morning, I had a lead to follow up on, and I wanted to show them what the ad would look like in our header zone, which is the leaderboard, and in our monster zone, which is equivalent to your local heroes zone. And so I just screenshot stuff from his beautiful website and say, hey, look, this is where you could be. This is what it looks like. The rest is up to you, you know.
Perfect. And Demetrius asked, does the video audio autoplay? Yes, but different browsers don't like that. So you just have to be careful of that. Like Chrome, in some cases, will block the player if it's too heavy, and that's not us. That's just that Chrome despises its own YouTube player. So if the advertiser says, yes, let's give it a go, let's run this through Q3, what we can do is pick a start date, pick an end date, and run a campaign. A campaign is basically just the thing that schedules the ad to run. We can pick where it's going to run, and what I'll do is I'll just create a campaign really quick. And everything that an ad manager should do, impression targets, targeting to a different page of your website or section, a certain WordPress category, blocking it from specific pages, doing day targeting, weighting, geo-targeting, all of the boring details of an ad manager. We do all of that too, but let's talk about the fun things. Let's get back to this. All right, I'm going to give you 10 tricks, right? The 10 tricks are the things that if you use Broadstreet, you have to know we do them. And some of these tricks should probably make it into your win sheet. Now, some of these you may already know of, and others you probably don't know of, but they're here in case you need them. I think they're a good idea. So the first are our ad formats. Now you would think that everybody who uses Broadstreet is just using all of our different ad formats, right? But maybe about 50% of our customers who have actually used one of these ad formats. Now we've got over 100. We got something for every advertising vertical. We've got some brand new ones that I'm going to show you as part of our treat session that came out of Red Bank Green. But the reason we do the ad formats is that it differentiates you and it gives prospects a reason to try you, right? And you can win new business, you can recapture old business. The other thing that's really important is that you want your sales team or you want yourself to be excited and have fun. I want to go to a sales meeting all jacked up, right? I don't want to go in there and feel like it's a chore. I want to be excited to show somebody. And I liken it, I don't know if anybody was, I didn't do my homework a whole lot in high school. So when I did my homework, I was really excited to go to school because I knew the teacher would be happy about it. Like I want to be excited to go into that sales meeting. And ultimately, I know I'm not just selling something. I'm going to deliver probably about 3 to 5 times the performance I get with a standard banner ad. I'm going to show them something they've never seen before, and it's actually going to do way better. It's going to reflect in their reporting. And what I always tell people is like, listen, just like we did with the win sheet, start with one favorite, one ad format that you think is just going to kill it for a lot of people. It's that amazing cube. What I'll do is like, why not just show the cube? I'll show the original amazing cube. So if you go to Broadstreet's website and then you click on ad formats, you can see a whole bunch here. You can see it live. This is the original amazing cube. It is a 3D rotating cube. It's got many new iterations. It's been copied by other companies that are just like, oh man, we need that Broadstreet mojo. And just 6 images, a logo, upload it. I remember when a publisher suggested this to me, I didn't get it. I was like, I don't understand why this would be so cool. And it just ran away. He ended up selling like 6 of them. It was Josh at Genesee's son. And then it's been sold like thousands and thousands of times. And it's probably one of the best selling ad formats of all time. One of the other things that have sold pretty well, anything with video, this sticky note right here, that's an ad that affixes itself to the upper right of the screen, and famously the billboard. I'll just pull that one really quick. The Sweetwater Now billboard. Who hasn't seen this one before? Gary Collins, you say, the late Gary Collins, amazing, forward-thinking innovator. Sold it for about $2,500 a month. I think that was his price point, and he rotated about 7 advertisers through here. Memorial Hospital. These are all long-term advertisers, and they always look amazing on mobile and on desktop. So ad formats, if you have not tried it, that could be your one thing. Just grab a video format. Grab that sticky note because it's great for short-term campaigns, right? It's going to perform incredibly well and reflect well in the reports. The other thing is a lot of people don't know is that it doesn't matter what CMS you use, whether it's WordPress or Ghost, we can put ad units wherever you want them. So a lot of people say, we need a redesign so that we can put ads where, and the funny little thing is that designers generally don't sell ads, so they don't think about the revenue ahead of time. They don't run businesses. They make things look pretty for sure. So we know that a lot of the time we have to retrofit ad units into pages. So if you need leaderboard, you need in-story, you need something that shows up in your infinite scroll, you want something that appears at the top of the page, you want something that only appears in certain circumstances, we can do all of that from our side without making any modifications to your theme. Meaning that we're not hacking your site apart, trying to get ad units in there. We're not going to screw anything up. Anything we do is entirely with JavaScript. It's all from the front end, right? That means you can keep doing your theme updates. You're good to go. Rotation, section targeting, all that stuff is just built in. And that day that comes along when you say, I'm sold out and I ran out of inventory, I need to add more ad space. No problem. We got you covered. So you can put it anywhere you want. That's a great problem to have, and a problem that comes up a decent amount. Next thing is mobile optimization, making sure your ads appear in stream on mobile. We don't want that situation where the ads in your sidebar go all the way to the bottom of the screen. We do not want a phone call from the advertiser saying like, hey, where are my ads? And we have to tell them just to keep scrolling. It's somewhere, it's thousands of pixels down, to keep going. What would we want if we were them? I always say to people that like really when it comes down to being like a good sales rep, it's really not much more than just, adhering to this golden rule. How would we want to be treated if they were them? If we had spent the money, what would we want to see? Would we be a little disappointed to see our ads at the bottom of the screen? Of course we would. So we want to think about how do other people want to be treated really well? So it turns out when you do this, they also get a 5x increase in their mobile click-through rate. And one of our customers, Bethesda Magazine, way back in the day, they didn't have this set it up. They were the first ones we ever set it up for and went from like a 0.02% to 0.1%. And I think they're well beyond that now. So definitely want to get things looking great on mobile because most of us know our traffic is like 80% on mobile now. Native advertising. I think we got some B2B here. We got Benjamin Media. We also got Chicago Parents, one of my favorites. Native advertising is advertising that aligns perfectly with the look and feel of your website. Right? We don't actually, they inherit the styles from your website automatically. We don't even have to style them. And so this is great for sponsored content, for maybe like, highlighting stories that are really good. I'm sure some of you have done some amazing stories, spectacular stories, and a week later, everyone forgot about it. Keeping that stuff resurfaced. Same thing happens with sponsored content. It can track views, it can track impressions, and you can rotate as many through. You want 100 native ads rotating through a single spot, no problem. So native advertising. That's kind of what Broadstreet is. Typically, native is considered image, title, description, link, right? And they're really easy to create. And we kind of created, if you don't have native advertising into your website, we created a tool called Local Spotlight, which I'll talk about in just a couple slides. Newsletter advertising. You really don't want to be in the case where you're uploading ads manually into your newsletter every day or whenever it goes out. You want all of that scheduled and tracked from one place, and that's what Broadstreet's really good at. So wherever you're running your ads, you can basically, if you're sending out the newsletter manually, just modify the content, leave the ad units intact, and Broadstreet will automatically make sure the appropriate ad is running inside your newsletter. So you can manage, schedule, start, and stop your newsletter ads from Broadstreet. You can shuffle positions. You can shuffle them on a per user basis. You can collect analytics. You can do static banners. You can do native ads. You'll see Red Bank Green's newsletter in a second. Save time, prevent mistakes. And if you are doing it manually, save the sanity of your editorial team so you don't have to send them a zip file full of ads that they got to run. So on the right is Broadstreet's, or no, Red Bank Green's newsletter. So I'm going to talk about this at the end, but Red Bank Green's newsletter has perfectly native advertising that mimics the what you see on Red Bank Green. So we got our local authority at the bottom and our community pillar up top. This is going to be part of an off-the-shelf tool that we make available to everybody. I'll talk about in a second. This is the Red Bank Green Blast. We got a train that runs through town constantly, just blasting its horn. So we're going to call it Broadstreet Blast. I'll talk about that in a second. All right, automatic reporting. So some publishers just use like, they just get the numbers reporting, number of impressions and clicks, like generate the PDF, right? So Broadsheet will generate a client-facing PDF ready to go. It's got the impressions, it's got the clicks, but it also gives you a picture of the ad. It highlights whether you have an outstanding click-through rate. It shows you when and where the clicks actually came from. Now, your advertisers have 100% guaranteed run a campaign on Google or Facebook, and Google or Facebook told them they got thousands and thousands of clicks. But there's no information on where they came from. The numbers seem insanely inflated, and the advertiser didn't see any traction from it. I know because I spend money on marketing for Broadstreet, and I know that's the case. That I can spend hundreds of dollars promoting a webinar on Facebook and see 0 registrations. But I can run an ad inside the dashboard in Broadstreet and see 20 to 30. So showing exactly where those clicks came from, giving a client a nice. Now I noticed that the interest in the reporting tends to skew a little bit younger among my advertisers. There are some clients who want a report every week, and you can automate it. So every Monday in their inbox, a really nice looking Broadstreet report is waiting for them. Attractive, understandable with everything a client ran for you. And it's so easy to set up, and it keeps you miles ahead of the competition. Most publishers out there don't even want to share the numbers. They don't want to share the reporting. They're afraid of if it creates more questions or things that they have to answer, or that like the numbers aren't going to be good or something like that. Run the reporting and see what it looks like on Broadsheet, and when it looks good, automate it. Oh yeah, get days of your life back. We talked to some publishers who probably spend like 40 hours a week or 40 hours a month in total. Some poor person on their team is putting together reports, pulling in stats from MailChimp and Google Analytics and for the sponsored content and Google Ad Manager. Broadstreet does it all and puts it all into an automatic report. Likeable ads. All right, it would be ridiculous if I didn't actually demo this one. So some of the ads at Broadstreet are likable now. This is new this year. And if I go ahead and click on this one, all right. So Scott Broadbeck at Arlington Now, another forward-thinking, smart dude that has given us a lot of great insight. He said, hey, why don't you make ads likable? Not exactly like on Broadstreet or on Facebook, but just keeping track of people liking them. It would add some additional social proof. Like the advertiser can see people liking it, they feel good, and it also creates some retention because once someone's built up a decent number of likes, they don't exactly want to throw those out by discontinuing. And it doesn't just like, because we got to do everything crazy. So with Stu right here, famous Stu, it explodes hamburgers and hot dogs. That's configurable. And when we released this, Uriah down at Potomac Local sold this within hours. He actually went to a barbecue place and said, check this out. And he said he'd been trying to track that advertiser down for years, and he came on board. So likable ads, and it's real time. It's awesome. You can apply it to any static banner ad. So upload any banner, turn any ad likable, and increases that engagement. So, oh yeah, importantly, people actually do it. When you put that thing live, you'll see that number is starting to go up, and we do like a little, button mashing. It is nice when people run those numbers up. So, all right, local spotlight. So during COVID, came out of COVID. Necessity is a mother of invention. So people said, hey, Kenny, my advertisers don't really have the budget right now, and I would love to start bringing in more advertisers at a lower price point, but I can't have hundreds of ads on the website. Is there any way you can get lots of advertisers on the site looking good and, not having it be a whole lot of setup, right? So we built this unit called Local Spotlight. It has a lot of different views, but it's basically solving the problem is like, how do I get lots of advertisers onto the page at once without messing the whole thing up? So, local spotlight, we got sidebar versions, we got leaderboard versions, we got some that show multiples, we got some that show singles. It's basically like very simple text, image, description, link ads. You can get lots of different advertisers in one place, tracks impressions and clicks just like any other ad. It can link to content on your website and it can link to content on other people's websites. And this has a lot of different use cases. So you can do roundups across advertiser verticals. Like if you have a real estate section on your website, maybe you have a real estate pros to know. We originally just called it real estate spotlight. Lawyers, professionals, for some of you who do contests like best ofs, right? Doing your finalists, your nominees, or your winners in here. And even if you just do sponsored content, just keeping that content resurfaced. Some of you know like that taboola feed that shows up at the bottom of articles online, and it usually doesn't have the best content in there. You can think at the bottom of a story, why couldn't have a grid of our sponsored content just like that? Because that's going to help drive more traffic to that sponsored content. It's so easy to set up. And in fact, I'm going to be using it at Red Bank Green in the next couple of weeks. So resurfacing your great stories. We did an amazing story of how one of Bruce Springsteen's first solo shows with one of his original songs was at the Red Bank, what is now the Red Bank Diner. And we posted that weeks ago. People forgot about it, and I want to resurface it. And it can link to wherever you want. And there's an amazing case study, I think, with Local Life down in South Carolina in Hilton Head. We've got that linked. Tommy will drop that in the chat. Did a case study. I think they had about 60 clients at about $1,000 a year, or something like that. So, all right. Flux Analytics. I have not used Google Analytics 4 in like a year. I've been using Broadstreet's Analytics. We can turn it on for you if it's not on by default. It's radically simplified Google Analytics alternative. It works alongside Analytics. And I think what I can do is probably just show you a quick preview. All right, so this is what Broadstreet's Flux Analytics looks like. So very simple. We looked at Jetpack. We asked our customers like, hey, what are the stats that you need and want to see? And what are some of the things that maybe you didn't have access to before? And people said, oh, we want to know how many robots are on the site. I want to see how many people have ad blockers. So there's some extras in there. But it's overall analytics. You can set the date range pretty easily, last 24 hours, last week, last month. And then you can do a drill down into a specific article to see how it did. And if we can, we'll pull in the preview of the article. So this is great for sponsored content too. And you can see how many links were clicked within the article, how many people read the entire article, about 52% in this case. So when we post a story that I think should be going gangbusters, like I'm pulling that up in Flux and I'm just watching it because it's real-time stats. You're not waiting a half hour to an hour to 12 hours to a day like in Google Analytics. And Flux also makes some things available to you. Flux, by the way, there's a Back to the Future reference in there for any of you Back to the Future fans. I know I am. So, yeah. So Flux, great for sponsored content and just great for not having to click through Google Analytics. Those like clicks where you're trying to find the stat that you want and like you feel like you're wasting time and it's like so annoying to use. Not anymore. Broadstreet Valet. Have you ever gotten a bunch of creatives from an advertiser and you're like, ugh, now I gotta go and I gotta upload them and get them scheduled? Well, you can just forward it to Valet at broadstreetads.com. We'll just do it for you. Well, we might ask you a couple questions, but if you tell us what the run dates, this is from Angie at Kansas City Magazine. She sent this in just a couple days ago, just an example. Think of it as like on-demand ad operations, delegate and elevate. It's about $60 an hour, billed in 10-minute increments. But sometimes when like you're on the road or you just need something taken care of for you, we'll go ahead and do it. So valet at broadstreetads.com. All right, ad blocker and visibility. I have an advertiser say, well, what about ad blockers? Asking me about that. So with ad blocker and visibility, I have it set up on Red Bank Green. Ad blockers won't affect the ads on our website. And that will get you about 10% of your impressions back. And you can also serve off of like a cool personalized domain. So you can do like partners.redbankgreen.com or like amazing clients at whatever you want to. Club Red, that's actually what I think I was originally going to do, clubred.broadstreetads.com. Or no, redbankgreen.com, because we call our advertisers, we say they're all in Club Red. So So basically ad blocker and visibility. Okay. Uh, Gene raised her hand. Gene, we're going to save our questions to the end because I want to get through the 5 treats and the 3 things that are coming our way, the future of Broadstreet. So 5 things that are kind of, um, I'm here to give away today, right? And make available to everybody because these are brand new and never been given to anybody. When I took over Red Bank Green, I said all the things that we built at Red Bank Green, we're going to make available to our customers once I had proved them out. So if I built an ad format and I'd successfully sold it, I was going to make available to everybody. So my first big ad formats that I was so proud of, first one being the community pillar. Kind of like it's native, it's great for storytelling and branding. It's kind of got that non-profity vibe, but that leaderboard that we have on Red Bank Green for positioning an organization like the YMCA or like Ocean First Bank or whoever it might be as a key pillar in our community, that's available to everybody now on Broadstreet. So that's available to you. There's a new category of ads called Red Bank Green. I'll show you that in a second. But that community pillar is now available to everybody. Next, my local authority, my beloved local authority. This has been probably the easiest sell of all time. This is about taking those professionals and really positioning them as experts. Because I said, like, I don't want a business card in a static banner ad. The way you see a lot of these things, I want local authorities, like, or I want my advertisers like positioned as local authorities. Now you can name it anything that you want. You don't have to call it a local authority. But what I do is that uh, with a local authority, I'll ask like Chris Havens in this case, I'll say, hey, what are the 3 questions that people tend to ask you the most? Because those are the burning questions on people's minds. And he said, oh, it's what's happening with Red Bank real estate. Hey, how much is my house worth? How can I buy real estate on the west side? So those questions that he tends to hear the most, we make that the basis of his advertising. Now, lawyers, a lot of times, we also have like a personal injury lawyer. A lot of times, like any lawyer, any field, they have a blog where they really zone in on their specialty and they talk about items around those specialties. So, the driving while impaired lawyers, personal injury, and, of course, all other lawyers, like estate lawyers. And so a lot of times they have that stuff in their blog. Local authority can link to content on your website or can link to content on their website. But it's about showing their expertise, their knowledge. It's about telling a story, sponsor content, having those 3 sponsored content posts. And I do give them industry exclusivity. So basically, if we have a residential real estate agent, if we have a residential real estate agent, I'm not going to work with any other residential real estate agents. So this was an email from one of our local authorities at Red Bank Green. Proactively reached out, hey, I'd like to re-up for another 3 months, and our local authority spot ends on Halloween. So I think that's a great line. Please send over the invoice when you can, and we'll happily pay to extend. I think this is the 3rd go for them. So local authority, it has worked and now it's available to everybody in that Red Bank Green category. And I'll talk about how we sell it in just a second. Community trivia. This is something I do that like nobody else does and nobody really knows what to make of it. And I have a blast with it. We have a unit in our stories where we ask probably about like 20 or 30 people in town. Some of them advertisers, sometimes the mayor, board of ed people, like just people who may or may not be well known. We just ask them random questions. But I do work the advertisers in there because I want to create connection, right? I look at us like publishers as the original social media. And I want to be able to like just ask questions like, hey, your first CD, like what was some place you lived? Where have you traveled? If you could go back in time and see anyone in concert, who would it be? So it's not advertising. It's introducing the person behind the business and it's making connection. So, I think that giving people a lift from where they are today to where they want to go, I think that's an incredibly important thing that we can do on this planet. I think the other thing we can do is make connection between other people. And advertising can be a vehicle for doing that. So community trivia is something you can think of it as an ad, you can think of it as a value add, whatever you want to do, but that's available to you now inside the Red Bank Green category, along with the Ask Me Anything. So this is a lead gen form. So for Kyle here, he's the personal injury lawyer I was talking about. He's gotten a couple of quality leads come in via this lead gen form. So I have a dedicated page for Kyle set up on Red Bank Green. You can run this anywhere. You can run an ad. You can put it in the sidebar. So when people fill this out, it sends me an email, it sends Kyle an email, and once people see that local authority, they can follow up and message Kyle right there. So what I'll do is I'm going to come back to this just 1 second. I want to show you where this is inside Broadstreet. And you can see our new red, bank, green categories. So we got local authority, community pillar, and community trivia. So it's all there. Next thing, if you don't have one, we have a media kit template available to you. So if you're working on your media kit, you want to see, me and Eric Schanfeld did a really extensive webinar on the 7 keys to making a great media kit. So we put together a media kit template for you that's based on Red Bank Green's media kit. So just go to File and make a copy. And we also made our local authority sell sheet and template available. I think, Tommy, you can probably share this too. So we have the red, bank, green version of it, but we also have a generic version where you can see how we sell it, how we position it. So that's available to you right now. So now you got the ad format, and now you got the sell sheet. So maybe this is the thing that you take away. All right, I just feel like, I hope this is like a king size Snickers going into your pillowcase right now. So, all right, now to give you guys something wicked. Something wicked comes this way, right? So I'm going to talk about 3 things. One is Broadstreet Blast. This is coming. It's not 100% done right now because I have to prove everything works at Red Bank Green before I make it available to everybody. This is an automatic newsletter out of the box. If you do not have an automated newsletter, it's one of the biggest drivers of traffic. We know we cannot depend on Google or Facebook anymore. Whether you use HubSpot, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, it sits on top of that. So you don't have to change your newsletter service, right? It will put in your latest stories, static and native advertising. It will be generally configurable, but it'll be a little bit like Broadstreet's reporting. It looks really nice, but it's a little cookie cutter, so we can't cut ourselves, right? It is in use and under testing at Red Bank Green, of course. So this is Broadstreet Blast, built. We built it for Red Bank Green first. It was called the Red Bank Green Blast, but then the alliteration was just too good. We called it Broadstreet Blast. So that's coming. Next is Partyline. This has gotten the most interest over the last year. So the Red Bank Register used to post every little thing that happened in Red Bank. Every Sweet 16, every horse tripping on a railroad track, everything like that. I'm sure you guys get requests to cover stories that you couldn't possibly get the time to answer. Sometimes from a PR person, hey, can you cover this fundraiser or something like that? And we'd love to. But what if we gave them the power to submit at least a short blurb to Red Bank Green? So Partyline is coming to Broadstreet as a built-in service, and it's for helping you capture all of those little stories that you can't cover. So Red Bank Green has a phone number, and this is how it works. We have a phone number that readers can text in, right? A picture and a short blurb, which gets caught by Red Bank Green and set up as a draft within WordPress and run through ChatGPT for some checking and some short storytelling, which sometimes works, doesn't work, but you can delete that part. So Partyline is a way for users to send in content to you for those fun and entertaining things that would otherwise get missed, right? So this is what it looked like off here on the right. This was the first ever Partyline. I was at the Holiday Express concert in Red Bank, the tree lighting, just a day after Thanksgiving. And I said Tim McClune and his Holiday Band are lighting it up on Broad Street. And that went live, in this case, instantly. But we set it up as a draft. We don't publish things from your outside readers instantly, of course. So on Red Bank Green, we have 50 registered contributors. Yes, we get a lot of nature posts and sunsets. It's true. But we don't get a lot of posts that we have to outright reject. 50% of our new posts right now are Partyline, which is pretty awesome. And right now, we've got an incredible reflection of the community because of Partyline. We get to cover those stories that we couldn't get to. And also, when people are in a Partyline, they get to become mini celebs. And also, some of the content, in terms of the traffic, one time I rolled into a convenience store parking lot. It was about 10 at night, and there was Darth Vader, some guy dressed as Darth Vader outside of the Welsh Farms convenience store in Red Bank. I took a picture of it and made it a party line, and it had like 5,000 views instantly. So there are a lot of things that we'd never publish as news, but we've got a dedicated place on Red Bank Green. I'll go ahead and just show you really quick. We got a dedicated column on Red Bank Green for all of our party lines. So we got a new mural, and sometimes it's us, but a lot of times it's other people. Like we had the Northern Lights in Red Bank the other night, spectacular, sent to us by Jenna Erickson, party line contributor. So, all right, last thing, Alva. So Alva, the thing that I showed you at the beginning of the session, Alva is an AI assistant, right? But it's trained on all of Broadstreet's knowledge. So all of Broadstreet's webinars, everything we've written, our papers, 10 advantages, our podcasts, our communication with customers in terms of support, our knowledge base, it's trained on all of that data. And it can answer support questions. It can give you guidance. It can give you links to resources. And it can also create spec ads. It can run reports for you, right? So there's a lot of stuff that Alva can do. So we're going to just revisit Alva really quick, and then we'll open it up to any questions. As always, we ran late, a little bit later today, but I hope that I kept it interesting. Okay.
Kept it fun.
Kept it fun for sure. So, so they went ahead. We created this with Teak before. I'm gonna do this by voice, which means it's probably we'll see if this works. I'm gonna say, give me a preview link for the local legend zone on Red Bank Green. So I just kind of went voice activated with it, and we'll see if Alva goes ahead, and we saw that preview functionality before. So that is another opportunity to kill some dead air. Oh, here we go. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Did we get? Where did it appear? All right, it's somewhere on Red Bank Green. One moment, please.
Partyline seems like a great product and a good addition to any website who wants to really represent the flavor of the community.
Right.
Great idea.
Oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, all right. So it took a little massaging. Asked Alva for a preview link. The other thing we can do is ask it for a report. We can say, give me a report for Chris Havens for the month of October. And it'll go ahead and run a report inside Broadstreet for me. And then what I'm going to do for one more.
So Kenny, I have a question. When you do ask Alva to create this ad, where do you retrieve it, and where does it appear on your? You open up a.
Right. Well, in this case, it gives me the link to the ad inside Broadstreet.
Okay.
And then I can go ahead. So it will create an advertiser if it needs to. Otherwise, it'll try and find the advertiser for Alva.
Okay.
And then I can also say let's see. I have a new sales team member. Do you have any resources for training? So I missed the word training there, but I'll probably pick it up. Can the title party line be changed? So Charlie, yes. Party line is just what we call it. It's named after the old subscriber line that multiple people could sign up to and chat. Steve, yes, you can make any advertisers instantly likable.
And Sarah's asking if you have a pricing for Partyline registration. But you don't charge, do you?
Not yet, but we haven't really figured that out because there would have to be, it does use some underlying services. There'd be some usage cost, but yeah, we're not exactly sure what that would look like. So here's an example of Alva finding some resources. So how to sell digital advertising in 30 minutes, 10 advantages, and then an ad sales webinar series me and Annette did back in the day. So this was like years ago. All right. So that's Alva. We're really excited about that and really expanding what it can do because anything we can do to shave off time, we're going to do it. Broadstreet is very principally driven company. And when it comes to marketing, We really just try to remind people of what they already fundamentally know, that sales is about the golden rule, for example. Just take people from where they are, where they want to get to is how we'd want to be treated. That when in our own sales process, we take, we say show the take people to where they want to go. On the customer service side, we say show the way to a better day, and that anybody who reaches out to customer service at Broadstreet, we want to make sure they're having a better day after working with us than they were having before that. And then also on the product side, make work feel a bit like play. So you want it to be fun. You don't want it to feel like a chore when you're using your ad manager, which sounds crazy that an ad manager would be fun, but that's our goal. So what is your one takeaway? I know we had some people that had to drop. Yes, we are recording this. Assuming the recording didn't go haywire, what's one takeaway you just drop into the chat? One thing that you saw that you're excited about? So Mary says Alva, Katie says web analytics, Debbie Partyline, Melanie Partyline, Evan local authority. That's actually one of my favorites. I know the other ones are kind of like got a little more sizzle, but local authority I've just had a lot of fun with. Spotlights, likable ads, newsletters. Okay, amazing. So what we'll do, we're gonna open it up to questions, but I do want to ask, like, and this is just something that's important for me because I try to make these webinars as good as I possibly can. I put a lot of effort into it. Everyone knows on the Broadstreet team that I stress out like crazy, before these things, trying to get it perfect and always trying to level up. So one of the things you can do to help me get to where I want to go and making these things as good as I possibly can for you is just let me know. Maybe frontdesk@broadstreetads.com. Do you feel like this was a good use of your time? And what did you like about it?